Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking another look at this iPhone SE3 that took a swim in a lake. And hopefully we'll be able to diagnose why it doesn't have touch and see if we can come up with a solution. So let's get started. Last time we looked at this device, we found that there was an issue with the 1v8 touch line on the connector. Now we're on the phone. There we get our Apple logo. Alright, so with the multimeter, we're going to be looking at the connector here. And here we're looking for 5.7, 5.7, 5.7, 1.8. Alright, 1. So here we got 1.8, but we are not getting 1.8 on number 9. And I realize now that what I did was I kind of got hyper-fixated on that line because I saw an issue and I completely forgot that there is a second touch line right below it. So let's go test that and see what we get. Alright. So here's There's the first 1v8, here's the other 1v8, nothing, and then below it, and I think I'm not getting anything on the 5v1. Alright, let's see, 5.18, let's see. Yep, nothing. Alright, so looking at the board view, here we've got this is supposed to be our 1v8 line, and then this is a 5v1 line. And you can see that if we jump over to where it's next connected, it pops us around to a filter on the back. If we go through that filter, there's a single cap, and then here we've got Chestnut. Okay, Chestnut does control touch. And in fact, what we can do is we can jump over here to this SE 2020 board. This will give us a little bit more information on that. So here's that same line. The layout's going to be slightly different. So let's see what A1 is. It's an open line, but as you can see, it's our 5v1 touch line. Okay, so we got the filter and the cap for the 5v1 touch line. Most of the water damage seemed to be in this area, but it might have gotten under this or might have affected Chestnut. I'm going to go into the microscope real quick. Let's give this a reflow real fast and see if that does anything before, before pulling it. Alright, so the issue might very well be, just because of the water damage in this general area, an issue under Chestnut here. Now that I've actually gone past the 1v8 line and looked at the 5v1 line. So let's add some flux and take a look at this chip here real quick. Alright, give it a little nudge, get some flux. Alright, give it a little nudge. Got some flux. Super shaky today, so that was really I was really nervous about that. Alright, and now that my hot air has cooled off, so has the board, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of an alcohol bath. Hopefully help break up any other corrosion under there, because these chips that are stuck in there in such tight tolerances, I hate having to lift them out, especially with how shaky my hands are right now. Let's go test it. Alright, let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna go straight to the display instead of using the little tester just for this first test. I think, if that's the issue, then this phone is fixed. We'll see. Maybe there's something else going on. I don't know until we get everything connected back up. We'll go ahead and connect up the display, now the battery, and let's power this guy on, and let's see if we have touch. All right, we got a bright apple logo. Still no touch. Let's see what's happening on the data lines there. All right, so we've got it powering on again. Let's get this set to read our voltage. We can actually start to read some of these while it's turning on. Still have our 5 volts there, our -5 there. Here's our 1V8, and we've got 0 here. And the phone, yeah, I knew the battery was going to die. Let's connect up the power supply. For those of you that are wondering, something like the 12 mini connector is the same as the SE3. You can't use the iPhone 8 connector because it's not the same battery. All right, got that connected. Turn on our power supply. Now we'll go ahead and turn the phone back on. And let's run some tests again. Black probe on a ground and 1V8, and we got 0 still. So we're getting nothing on the 1.8 1V8 lines and the 5V1 line as well still. So let's do a little more digging. All right, so given that I've determined Chestnut is needing to come off, let's take it off real fast. All right, so definitely some corrosion there, and you can see we've got some really grayed out pads. That means that those weren't making connection. They're just super oxidized. So yeah, let's clean this up. Let's reball it. We'll just reuse the chip. It's probably okay. It just needs to be cleaned and reballed. So let's go through the process of doing that. First, I'm going to clean up the area a little bit. We'll add some flux. Get out my iron tip. Let's see if I can go down in there. If I can get in there, it's so small, and this is a tiny tip. Got a teeny bit of low melt on the end of my soldering iron. And I'm going to try to move it around best I can without bridging any of the caps. Let me turn up the temperature on my iron. It's not cutting it. There we go. That's better. Got my iron set at 400. Normally at 350, 360. Go ahead and give that area a really good scrubbing real fast. I'm just going to go in there and gently skate across all of the gaps, just making sure I didn't miss any corrosion. That looks good. I can't find any of my really thin goot wick, so what I like to do is just twist the thicker one up so that becomes a much finer point. And then I can paint the exterior in some flux. Alright, we'll get out the hot air and we'll suck up all of the solder. That's fine right there. Alright, next we'll take our teeny tiny chip here. We'll take the soldering iron. Let's get rid of all of that corrosion and let's freshen up all of the pads. There we go. Let's take some isopropyl alcohol and a brush and let's clean up the chip gently. Zooming down on it, I'm just gonna, with the tweezer's tip, just really carefully knock off anything I see that stands out. And as you can see, it's looking much better. We'll get that dried off a little bit. I'll grab the first stencil I see. This one's for a Samsung S9 or something like that, but I can make that stencil work. That's a really dry solder paste that I'm going to use real fast. We'll just smear that into the holes. Just like that. Pin it down. Gently come in with the hot air, and let's blow and reball this chip, heating it from a distance, watching the solder start to dance, and before you know it, you got some solder balls. Add a little bit of flux to this, it's up a little bit. There we go. Didn't like that one on the end. Give it one more little reflow real quick with a little bit of flux on it, and get the solder balls all nice and shiny, just like that. Now, Chestnut is really hard to misalign, just because of the tolerances in there. We'll go ahead and stick it down in there, and it's already basically aligned for me, which is nice. Let's go ahead and put on our hot air, and let's get this flown into place, and there we go. Watch the drop. We're good. Let's let it calm down, cool down, and then we'll go test it. Alright, let's go ahead and power this guy back on, and let's see if we have any change in the volt output on those lines. Alright, I've got it connected up to a power supply. Make sure everything's connected up properly. Go ahead and see if we can prompt this phone to boot. There we got an Apple logo. And let's see, we'll put our black probe on the speaker here. Good grounding spot. we are getting a 1V8. Now we're getting a very odd reading from the touch. No touch on the screen. On our 5V1 line, we are getting 0.07. Now we're getting a weird reading. So I think it has to do with chestnut. Alright, so we pulled the chestnut IC, reballed it and put it back, and it still didn't work. Now, there is a chance that the chestnut IC is bad. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What do you think the issue is? Is it some of the corroded components around it? Maybe it is chestnut still. If you're someone that does this type of repair, comment it down below. I'm sure we'll be able to fix it, but that'll have to be in part 3. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.